Hey folks, today we're going to be doing a bit of a Mythbuster episode, and that is going to be on whether or not the gold bonuses in the game affect the ancient bone drops that you get. The reason why this is a very important question to answer is because ancient bones are a primary limiting factor to pretty much every endgame farm that you're going to be doing. Now, ancient bones are the number one resource for all of the things you buy at the beast vendor. It's used for pretty much everything, especially the bag of amber here, which is probably the most important thing that you will buy. Amber here is used to buy all of the woven echoes, which are a significantly better way to farm endgame items than just running echoes normally. So the more amber you get, the more efficient your farm is. It's a really big deal. Now, not only does this take 1,500 bones, but you can also use bones to upgrade other materials into horns, which means even more bags of amber. So as you can see, the bones will always be one way or another the limiting factor in your endgame. So more bones means more endgame farm for you. Anyway, if you do find this video helpful, or you just generally like these sort of things, please do consider leaving a like and comment on the video. It does help a lot, and I do really appreciate it. Yeah, let's jump into it. I've already had several people message me about the gold drops working for bones. There's a lot of speculation here. A lot of people have done their own tests, but I did want to dig in a bit myself, so I actually have some of my own data I can talk about, and that's what I've done. So just to give a little bit of context, what I mean by the gold bonuses in the game, the first one here is the gold blessing. So you get this from Fall of the Outcast timeline. This is up to 1.7 times gold. And the other bonus is in the Weaver tree, the Xeric's Aid. And when it does proc, you get 2.7 times the gold. So what I ended up doing for my own test was I ran a bunch of echoes. I've already reset the web a few times. I had so many echoes. But anyway, I ran a bunch of echoes. I found all the beasts. I upgraded them. I did the caves. I full cleared caves. I killed every monster, picked up every bone, just so that the data actually shows how many bones were in the cave. I did a bunch of rampant coasts. I had them imprinted, did as many as I could. And I wrote pretty much everything down, any information that could be helpful, just to analyze the data. And that's what we have here. So here is all of the data compiled, and I separated it into the activity that I was doing. So here at the top, we have cave. So this is just all of the stuff in the cave, excluding the beast at the end. Then I have the beast. Then I have the map rift, which is just fighting the beast in the map itself, so not in the cave. And then I have rampant coast. Now this data is not huge. It's not the biggest sample. Ideally, you would probably want more data. But even with this amount of data, I'm pretty happy to say that it probably does affect the bone drops. And what's more, it seems like the two gold bonuses might be multiplicative with each other. That's still inconclusive, but it does seem to be the case. Now, the first test I have here is the cave itself. Not a huge sample size here. And you can see here the average is already, with just these numbers, it's a pretty big difference. The min and the max is a pretty big difference. What seems like is happening is that the amount of piles of bones that drop, there's a pretty big variance there. And even the pile size has some variance as well. But then after all of those rolls are done, the multipliers take effect. So then the end result still ends up being the min and the max are both a bit higher for the outcomes because it's multiplied after all that stuff happens. And that follows through with the numbers that we have here. The next thing is the cave beast. So the beast, it seems like there's also a penalty added for the reset. I know before a lot of people were doing, they would just get a really good beast and then they would just reset over and over, never actually ending the lineage. It seems like that is nerfed. So some of this data is a bit muddy. I have more resets up here at the top with Gold Blessing no. So this data I don't think is very good. But even still with this, you can see a pretty big difference. The min, the max values, and the average, pretty big difference. Then we have the map rift. I didn't actually do any math here because I just didn't think the sample size was big enough. But one thing to note here, the one time that I did get the Xeric and the Gold Blessing was by far the the largest bone drop that I got. It was a huge difference. So that further leans towards it being multiplicative. And even for this sample here, the Cave Beast, where I did get Xeric, you can see here the disparity. These were both resets with the same amount of upgrades, and the difference in drops was actually huge. So that just highlights how big the variance can actually be. And it seems like what I mentioned earlier with the pile size, the bone pile size, it lines up pretty well with some of my other tests where I was paying attention to how large the bone piles actually were. And with the bonuses, you can see even if the amount of piles changes, the pile size can be quite a bit larger. Sometimes I'm dropping over 1,000 per pile, which didn't really happen without the bonuses. So I think that's a further indicator that it does work. And then finally, we have the rampant coast here. This is, I think, my cleanest data set. These are unaffected by all your beast upgrades, so it makes a pretty good data set. Although it is random upgrades, so there's also quite a bit of variance here, but that is captured fairly well in the numbers. So I have a bunch of samples here with no Xeric, no Gold Blessing. You can see the min-max average here. And then what's interesting is here with the Gold Blessing, it's around like 60%-ish higher than the no Gold Blessing, which lines up really well with the amount of gold that the blessing actually gives. So Gold Blessing is giving me 69% more gold. Nice. And here you can see the numbers are pretty close. I do want to collect more data, but for now, it does look pretty convincing. Then we have the procs with the Xeric, which, as you would expect, it does seem to be higher than just the Gold Blessing, which makes sense. Multiplier is higher. And then I have one single proc here where I got both that absolutely blew everything out of the water, like completely huge outlier here, not even close. 5,700 bones from one single beast from a rampant coast, not even close to anything else I got. It does seem to be the case that this is definitely confirming. And then what you're going to be doing with this information, how this actually ends up being useful, is when you're doing your farm, you're spending your amber, you're doing unclaimed trove or whatever it is. You buy all your echoes from the woven vendor. You run all those as normal. You don't have Xeric in your tree. You don't have Gold Blessing, unless you're MG, I guess. If you're COF, you stick with XP. And then once you want to refill, get more amber, get more bones, what you would do is you would change your tree, grab all the beast nodes, do your whole imprint setup and whatever, then just go through, clear echoes as normal. Every time you see Rampant Coast, you grab it. Every time you get a Xeric proc or whatever, and you have the Beast Cave, do a full clear of the cave, you're going to get thousands of bones. And just speed run echoes as normal. If you don't see any rift in the echo, you'll get the little message, mysterious rift nearby or whatever. If you don't get that, just complete the map, go next. You can take beacons if you want, so you can reveal bigger area. But this is what you're going to be doing when you want amber, you want bones. Just spam run echoes and do this. Another thing that you can do while you are doing your farm setup, whatever it may be, is you can place echoes down to already completed echoes. And if there are no adjacent echoes, sometimes if there are, it will reveal more echoes for you, which gives you extra chances for free rampant coasts. So just as you're playing normally with your endgame farm, you get free extra rampant coasts, which is really good. And yeah, that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be swapping between the blessings and the bonus to do your bone farm, and then swapping back for whatever it is else you are farming. Anyway, that's pretty much all I have for today. Hope you guys found it helpful. As always, I will catch you in the next one. Peace.